I nearly died in the hospital, and my wife couldn't have cared less. "I'm not your babysitter. Handle it yourself," she said. I didn't argue. I just nodded and stayed quiet. The moment I got discharged, I packed up and left. She laughed, thinking she'd won. 2 years later, she was blowing up my phone, begging me to take her back. But I can still remember the moment I knew our marriage was over. It wasn't after a fight or finding out she'd done something behind my back. It was 2:47 a.m., in a hospital bed, while she scrolled through TikTok as I lay there struggling to breathe. Let me take you back. About 3 weeks earlier, I started feeling off. Nothing big, just tired, a little achy. The kind of stuff you brush off as working too much or sleeping wrong. Harper, my wife of 6 years, told me I was being dramatic when I said maybe I should see a doctor. "You always act like this when work stresses you out," she said, eyes locked on her phone. I kept trying to push through it. That's what you do, right? But then the fever hit. Not the mild kind you ride out with soup and Netflix. This one felt like broken glass in my joints. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, wondering if this is what dying feels like. Harper's advice? Take some Tylenol and stop waking me up. Then came the night everything changed. I woke up and couldn't move the right side of my body. The room spun, my heart pounded so hard I felt it in my teeth. I called out to Harper, my voice barely there. She groaned, rolled over, and muttered the same cold words. "I'm not your babysitter. Handle it yourself." I laid there for what felt like forever, trying to use a phone with hands that didn't feel like mine. Eventually, I got through to my sister, Alexandra. She lived 45 minutes away but got there in 20. Everything after that is a blur. Her face. When she saw me, how calm she stayed while telling Harper we were heading to the ER. Harper's response? "You're enabling his attention-seeking, but go ahead." The ER was chaos. I heard words like septic shock and organ failure. My temp was 104.2. My blood pressure was tanking. They said it was a systemic infection. The doctor's face changed when I told him how long I'd been sick. He glanced over at Harper, who was sitting there scrolling through Instagram. They admitted me on the spot. Alexandra stayed until they made her leave, promising to be back first thing in the morning. Harper looked annoyed when the nurse suggested she stay the night. "I've got an early meeting," she said. "He's in good hands here." The next several days were a fog of antibiotics, scans, and fever dreams. Alexandra came every day, after work, brought me clean clothes, talked to my doctors, checked in on me. Harper showed up twice. The first visit lasted 15 minutes. She complained about parking. The second time, she dropped off a cold coffee and spent half an hour talking about drama at a friend's party. But the moment that broke me wasn't the coffee or the parking complaints. It was when I asked her for water. I could barely lift the cup. She rolled her eyes and snapped, "I'm not your babysitter. Handle it yourself." Same words, same cold tone. I didn't respond. I just sat there, defeated. Later, a nurse found me struggling to reach the cup. She helped me drink, adjusted my pillows, checked my vitals, while Harper watched TikToks at full volume. That's when it hit me. After 6 years, my wife had less empathy for me than a nurse who didn't even know my name a week ago. It wasn't a dramatic realization. It settled in slow, deep, and cold, like the infection had. I spent 10 days in that hospital. Alexandra brought books, stayed through treatments, helped me walk again. My coworkers sent cards. Even the cafeteria worker who brought my food checked on me every day and always brought extra Jell-O because she knew I liked it. Harper came, by twice more, once to say she canceled our vacation because, obviously, I wouldn't be up for it, and once to complain that she had to handle everything at home. Not once did she ask how I was doing or talk to the doctors about what I'd need after I left. When it came time for discharge, Harper didn't pick me up. She texted that she was busy and asked if Alexandra could do it. She did. just like she'd done everything else. On the drive home, Alexandra kept glancing at me in the mirror, like she wanted to say something but didn't. I was already thinking about leaving. People say near-death experiences make you rethink life. Mine made things crystal clear. Every eye roll, every "you're being dramatic" moment, every selfish act played back in my head like a highlight reel of everything I'd ignored. I didn't confront Harper that night or the next. I watched her laugh at her phone, make plans with friends, and talk about work like nothing had happened. Like her husband hadn't just nearly died while she scrolled through social media, I started making my own plans too, the kind that don't need to be announced, quiet plans that change everything. And there she was, on the couch, laughing. On the phone about her weekend plans while I struggled to open a water bottle with my still shaky hands. She had no idea what was coming. She probably thought she won, that she'd put me in my place. But she was about to find out just how wrong she was. Reading your comments made me feel a lot less crazy about my decision, especially over the past 2 weeks. Yep, 2 weeks. That's how long it took me to leave after I got discharged. Some people think that's too quick. Others said I should have left right away. The truth is, I needed that time to make sure I did it the right way. The day after I got back from the hospital, Harper made breakfast, not for me, but for herself. She made avocado toast and was filming it for her Instagram. I sat at the kitchen counter, still weak and shaky, watching her adjust the lighting. For her post, she looked at me and said, "You should eat something. There's bread in the freezer." That's when I texted Alexandra, "I need your help getting out." The next 2 weeks were a quiet, careful operation. Alexandra introduced me to a friend who had a small apartment available. Nothing fancy, but it had an elevator, which mattered, because I was still recovering, and it allowed month-to-month leases. While Harper was at work, Alexandra helped me move essentials. Just enough to avoid suspicion, but enough that I wouldn't need to come back for the basics. The hardest part wasn't the moving. It was pretending things were normal at home. Harper didn't really notice anything was different. She was too busy planning a girls' trip for next month. "You'll be fine by yourself, right?" she asked, eyes still on her laptop. "You managed in the hospital." I just nodded and mentally added "cancel joint credit card" to my checklist. What really stuck with me weren't the big things. It was finding my hospital discharge papers crumpled, in the trash when I needed them for insurance. It was Harper rolling her eyes when I asked if she could pick up a prescription. "Can't you just get it delivered? I'm not your nurse." It was hearing her tell friends on the phone that I was exaggerating when I needed to rest after doing laundry. Alexandra was my anchor. She helped me set up autopay for rent, picked up stuff I needed, even stocked my fridge. When I tried to thank her, she just hugged me and said, "I should have seen it sooner. I'm sorry." The day I finally left, I waited until Harper was at work. Most of my stuff was already gone. I left the keys on the counter with a letter explaining I was done. No drama, no accusations, just facts. I also left paperwork from the hospital showing how close I came to dying. Maybe she'd read it, maybe not. I turned off location sharing, blocked her on social media, and changed my number. By noon, Alexandra helped me settle into the new apartment, and by that evening, I was eating takeout on my new couch when the messages started coming. Through Alexandra's phone. The first one from Harper. "Very funny. He'll be back in a week when he realizes he can't be alone." Then, "Tell him he's being ridiculous. He can't leave just because I didn't baby him in the hospital." And finally, "He's going to regret this tantrum. I already told everyone he's been unstable since his near-death drama." Alexandra showed me the messages but didn't pressure me to reply. Instead, she helped me make a list of things I still needed. We were comparing shower curtains when Harper's email came through. You're embarrassing both of us. Everyone knows you're just doing this for attention, like always. Remember when you had to go to the ER at 3 a.m.? Come home. We'll forget this ever happened. I'll even let you pick the Netflix show." I didn't respond. Instead, I went to my first therapy session the next day. After I shared everything, my therapist said something that hit me. "You know the difference between being lonely and being alone? Lonely was how you felt in that hospital room with your wife there. Alone is what you are now. And you're already doing better." It's been 2 weeks since I left. My new place is small, but it's peaceful. The elderly couple next door brought me homemade soup when they heard I was recovering. That simple kindness made me cry more than leaving my marriage did. Recovery's slower than I'd like, but I'm getting stronger. I can handle simple tasks now without getting winded. My appetite's returning. I even cooked a meal yesterday. Just pasta, but it felt like a win. What surprises me most is the relief. I thought I'd feel scared, angry, sad, but I feel like I can finally breathe. No more walking on eggshells. No more bracing for sarcastic comments. No more feeling like a burden. Harper's attempts to reach me have ramped up. She's called my sister multiple times, sobbing, threatening. She's told friends I'm having a mental breakdown. She even posted a vague story on Instagram about supporting your partner through mental health issues. But here's the thing. Every manipulative message, every attempt to paint me as unstable, every dismissive remark about my hospital stay, it just proves I made the right decision. The woman I married, the one I thought would be by my side through sickness and health, showed her true colors when I was at my lowest. I have a consultation with a lawyer next week. Alexandra's helping me gather medical records and all the messages where Harper admitted to ignoring my symptoms. I don't want a drawn-out court battle. I just want to be free. This morning, I got a text from an unknown number. "You'll be back. You always come back when you need something. Who else would tolerate your drama?" I blocked the number and made myself breakfast. My hands don't shake anymore when I hold my coffee. Friends. One of those friends happens to sit on the board for a local medical charity and invited us to their annual gala. It's the kind of event where people like Harper thrive. Performative. Generosity, fancy dresses, cameras everywhere. I didn't know she'd be there until we were already walking in. Harper was at a table near the stage, surrounded by the same friends who once ghosted me when she spun her version of the story. She saw me before I saw her. Her face froze, then shifted into that smile she used to wear like armor. Naomi noticed. Immediately. "Do you want to leave?" she whispered. I shook my head. Not anymore. The gala included a segment where survivors shared their stories. I'd been asked to speak weeks ago about surviving sepsis, recovery, and the importance of support systems. Naomi encouraged me to do it, not for closure, but because my story might help someone else feel less alone. So I stood at that podium, under the warm lights, and told the truth. I spoke about being dismissed at home while my body was shutting down, about crawling to the door when I couldn't breathe, about how the hardest part of healing wasn't the illness, but the isolation. I didn't name names. I didn't need to. The people who knew, knew. Harper sat still through the whole thing, her expression unreadable. A few of her former friends exchanged glances. One got up and left. After the speech, people approached me, some teary-eyed, others just thanking me. One woman whispered, "Your story sounded a lot like mine." Naomi stood beside me the whole time, her hand steady in mine, proud and present. Toward the end of the night, Harper tried to corner me near the bar. She started with a compliment on the speech, tried to slip into nostalgia, mentioned how we were once so good at hosting dinners. I told her I didn't want to revisit the past. She frowned. "But don't you ever wonder if things could have been different?" "I used to," I said. "But now I just feel lucky I got out." She flinched. "You make me sound like a villain." I shrugged. "I don't need you to be the villain. I just needed to stop being the casualty." I walked away. Last night, I sat on our couch, Naomi curled up beside me, our dog snoring at our feet, and I realized something. Peace doesn't always arrive with fireworks or big declarations. Sometimes, it shows up as silence where there used to be chaos. The story doesn't end with Harper's downfall or a dramatic confrontation. It ends with me choosing joy, truth, and love. It ends with dinner at home and laughter over burned garlic bread. It ends with freedom. And honestly, that's the best ending I could have asked for. I grabbed my coffee and walked off. Harper didn't even notice me. A lot of you have been messaging, asking for updates, especially after my ex-wife's recent breakdown on social media. Yes, I saw her posts. No, I didn't reply. But I think now's the right time for an update, mostly because things have taken a surprising turn. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. Harper didn't fight it. She was too focused on keeping up the image of the devoted wife stuck with an unstable husband. The day we signed the papers, she posted a long-winded Instagram caption about loving someone through their demons, paired with a dramatic black-and-white selfie of her gazing out the window. I let her run with that version of the story. It was easier than arguing. And honestly, the people who mattered already knew the truth. My recovery took longer than I thought it would. The sepsis left some lasting effects: fatigue, joint pain, brain fog here and there. But the difference is, when no one's constantly telling you that you're exaggerating, you actually start listening to your body. I began physical therapy, joined a sepsis survivor support group, and gradually built back my strength. That's where I met Naomi. She was leaving the center as I walked in, dropped her water bottle, and we both bent down to grab it. Turned out she was there for grief counseling. Her husband died from a severe infection 2 years ago. We started grabbing coffee after meetings, just talking about life after illness, the weird comments people make when you face death. Neither of us was looking for a relationship, which is probably why it felt so natural. She got it. The frustration of invisible illness, the pressure to bounce back like nothing happened. We became friends first, sharing articles on post-sepsis syndrome and swapping book recommendations about healing. Meanwhile, Harper's perfect world started cracking. Her friends began contacting me one by one. Turns out, her version of my mental breakdown didn't match up with my medical records, or the texts she sent, or the hospital's security footage of her scrolling through TikTok while I was in critical condition. Last month, she lost her core friend group after they found out she'd lied about caring for me. She told them she took time off work to nurse me back to health. In reality, she was on a spa weekend with her new boyfriend. That boyfriend didn't stick around once he read the old texts she'd sent me. You know, the ones where she said I was being dramatic about having a 104-degree fever. He messaged me asking if what she said was true. I pointed him to my medical records and wished him well. That's when the calls started. First her mom, then her sister, then Harper. I'd changed my number months ago, so everything went to Alexandra. And just like that, the story shifted from he's unstable to he really needs to talk to Harper. She's not doing well. Alexandra's response: so was Owen when he was dying in the hospital. Harper didn't care then. Last week I got promoted. The new role's easier on me physically and actually more fulfilling. My team surprised me with cupcakes. Naomi took me to my favorite restaurant to celebrate. It wasn't supposed to be a date, at least not officially, but something changed over dinner. Watching her laugh about her failed soup recipe, I felt something shift. Then yesterday, Harper showed up at my office. She'd lost weight, makeup slightly smeared, holding what looked like old photos of us. Classic Harper, always with props, to sell the act. Security stopped her at the lobby, but I saw her through the glass doors. I slipped out the back and texted my therapist. "It's okay to feel nothing," she replied. "Sometimes that's healthier than feeling too much." She was right. A year ago, seeing Harper would have rattled me. Now, I just didn't want to be late for coffee with Naomi. Today's support group meeting felt different. Naomi and I exchanged a glance when another member shared how their spouse didn't believe their symptoms. Afterward, she touched my hand and said, "Want dinner instead of coffee?" I said yes. As we left, my phone lit up with a message from a number I didn't recognize. Harper again. Somehow she'd gotten my new number. "I know you're trying to punish me. This has gone on long enough. I've changed. Just meet me for coffee. Please." Naomi saw the message. She didn't flinch. Instead, she squeezed my hand and said, "Sometimes people don't change. They just get better at pretending." I blocked the number and we went to dinner. For the first time in a long time, I talked about things other than illness, pain, or betrayal. We talked about books, travel, our love for documentaries. She laughed too hard at one of my jokes and then looked embarrassed. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. As I write this, messages keep coming in, from Harper's family, friends, numbers I don't know, all saying the same thing. She's changed. She needs to talk. But I'm done with that chapter. My phone buzzed again, but this time it was Naomi sending me a documentary she thought I'd love. I think I'm finally ready for what comes next. Final update. I wasn't planning to write another one, but after what happened at yesterday's charity gala, I owe you the truth about how this finally ended. And yes, it ended. Just not the way Harper imagined. 2 years after walking away from my marriage, I stood in a ballroom and watched Harper's carefully constructed world fall apart in real time. Best part? All I had to do was tell the truth. Let me back up. Last month, Naomi and I got engaged. Nothing flashy. We were cooking dinner, talking about her latest documentary idea, and the moment just felt right. No Instagram post, no staged photos, just us and our joy. We only told close family and friends. Somehow Harper found out. The texts started again. "You can't be serious. She's a rebound. You need to talk to me before you ruin your life." I kept blocking her. She kept finding ways in. Then came the gala. It's an annual fundraiser for sepsis awareness and survivor support. Naomi and I helped organize it through our group. Harper wasn't supposed to know, but she showed up, looking picture perfect, dressed like remorse itself. All sad smiles and teary eyes, ready to play the part of the loving ex-wife who stood by me through my battle. I was about to speak, share my story, when I spotted her in the crowd, already dabbing her eyes, already in character. That's when I knew I wasn't holding back anymore. I told the truth, every detail. Waking up paralyzed, begging for help, getting told to deal with it, lying in the hospital as organs failed while she scrolled through TikTok, security footage, the texts, her telling everyone I'd had a breakdown. The room went still. Harper stopped pretending. Her mask slipped. Then I played the audio. Yes, I had recordings. Alexandra told me to start documenting things once I came home, just in case. Every cold comment, every time she dismissed my pain. Harper tried to leave, but the same friends she'd lied to stood in her way. I kept going. I shared screenshots of her social media captions about caring for a sick spouse, and then showed the hospital footage, proving she visited only twice in 10 days. Her loving Instagram quotes about loyalty side by side with texts calling me dramatic for having a high fever. The most important part of survival, I said, locking eyes with her, is knowing what tried to kill you. Sometimes it's not just the infection. Sometimes it's the person who said they loved you. Harper stood up, mascara running. You're twisting this. I was there. I helped. That's when Naomi walked on stage. She'd compiled timelines, interviews with hospital staff, screenshots of Harper's posts during my ICU stay, and messages from mutual friends, all documented, all devastating. "No," I said. "You weren't there, but now everyone knows exactly where you were." The murmurs began. Phones came out. Harper's image unraveled in front of everyone. She tried again. "Owen, please, we can talk," I cut her off. "Like how you wanted to talk when I was dying? Or when you said I was crazy? Or when you tried to sabotage what I have with Naomi?" Her new boyfriend, yes, the one from Instagram, stood up and left. Her friends turned away. Even the charity board who welcomed her earlier avoided her gaze. I ended by announcing a new program for survivors whose partners abandoned them during critical illness. We're calling it the Handle It Yourself Foundation. Survivors get the joke. Harper ran out in tears. Her social media wiped clean. An hour later, my inbox exploded with messages from other survivors, thanking me, sharing their stories, offering support, asking how they could help. Naomi squeezed my hand as we read them. "You know what's better than revenge?" she asked. "Truth." She's right. I didn't have to scheme, didn't need to tear her down. Harper just built her own lies so high, all I had to do was shine a light. The foundation launches next month. We're working with hospitals to support patients abandoned during illness. Every flyer will list the red flags I missed. Every group will validate the experiences Harper tried to erase. Almost dying nearly broke me. Harper's abandonment nearly crushed me. But in the end, they gave me something else. A mission. A partner. And a voice loud enough to make sure no one else feels alone. Harper wanted a performance. She got one, just not the one she wrote. I'm marrying Naomi next spring. No social media announcement needed. The truth, it turns out, says everything.